Alright, today we're looking at our sedimentary rock notes. The definition for sedimentary rocks is they're formed from sediments, soils, plants, shells, and animal remains being pressed together by large amounts of pressure over a long period of time. These are the only rocks that will have fossils. They may have visible layers, and they may have air holes. Just like when we were talking about igneous rocks, they did have air holes. Sedimentary rocks can also have air holes. But it's different. It's not because they're cooled so quickly. So, formations of the igneous or sedimentary rocks. They form through a process of 4 steps. Weathering and erosion is the first one. The first part is weathering. When water, wind, and ice changes in temperature, break down the sedimentary or the rock into sediments. Okay, this process is called weathering. The sediments then is moved to another place by water, wind, or ice. That part is called erosion. So when the sediments are actually moving, it's called erosion, and weathering is when they're being broken down. Step 2 of the formation of sedimentary rocks is the deposition. The sediments is deposited or laid down in water or in low-lying areas. 3 is compaction, where they're pressing or squeezing the sediments together due to weight of one layer above new layers. So they pile and pile and pile. Cementation is when the dissolved minerals are crystallized and cemented together. Alright, to demonstrate this process, the first step is the weathering. Okay? Imagine over time, wind, water, breaking apart pieces of the rock into tiny sediments. Okay? These sediments are just laying by the rock because it's just weathering, just being broken down into pieces. Okay? Then, these sediments are picked up by wind, water, ice, and they're carried around. See how I'm carrying them around? Okay, then, deposition is next, where they settle down into the bottom of a river or a low-lying area, and they're getting piled on top of each other. Okay? Piled and piled. Compaction is when they start to press together. Okay, so you can see, I'm going to lay them down so you can see them, starting to compact together. Okay? Cementation is then after a long period of time, they get pressed together. Okay, and the cementation is the crystallizing of the minerals, keeping them smushed together, forming a new rock. There are 3 types of sedimentary rocks. Clastic, which are rock fragments cemented together. Okay, so this would be an example of a clastic rock. Organic rocks, which are dead plants and animals pressed together. Okay, we can see the fossils of shells in this sample of limestone. And then a chemical rock is when the minerals dissolved in a water solution that crystallize. Okay, and a good example of that is a rock salt. Okay, think of, maybe if you've heard of rock salt lamps, that's rock salt. Okay. Sedimentary rocks can be used to as building materials and as tools. Flint can be used to make arrowheads. Sandstones could be building materials. They make the parts of the White House is made out of sandstone. Limestone, building materials, walls, cement. Acid rain does react with the calcite in limestone and does damage buildings or statues that have been made of it. Shale, bricks, and other materials that can be fired, like in a kiln. And then coal for electricity, transportation, and heat. Okay, make sure that you've got all those blanks filled in the worksheet.